Hey guys, welcome to a healthy living video blog at workoutmaster.com. This is Ruben.
That's Aram.
Absolutely. We're going to talk today about thyroid. It's a big issue. There's a lot of people have a weight-related issue. A lot of times they find it is related to thyroid health. We're going to tear this apart. Ruben knows quite a lot about thyroid, a lot more than I know. Let's tear this one apart. Let's see what we can do. What do you think?
Well, I think the first thing that should be addressed is, for those who might not have full understanding of what the thyroid is a gland that sits in the base of our neck, around the, wraps itself around the windpipe, the trachea, and basically controls a lot of the, involuntary, of course, functions of the body, such as your heart rate, hormone levels, function of your menstruation for females, and etc. It's quite a complex, a gland that takes care of many and various different functions in the body.
Mm-hmm. What are the symptoms of a hypothyroidism?
Well, let me go back one step before that.
Okay.
Yes, the thyroid, can actually overproduce or underproduce their natural hormones. That actually named T3 and T4 in the short form. About large percentage, I think, is over 95% of the total production is of T4. And on the single digits, around 4 to 7% to 8% is actually T3. It can vary a little bit on the numbers for what I've looked into. Now, the problem that we also have, with the thyroid is that sometimes it becomes hypofunctional. That means that it's diminishing its function, and sometimes it's often hyper. That means that it's running too fast, too hard, and that can have several other symptoms. The most common symptoms of hypothyroidism, which is the most common form of thyroid dysfunction, and it's over 27 million people actually have
that's a lot.
Signs and symptoms, right? Mm-hmm. I don't know if they're fully blown hypothyroidic, I think is the word. And typically there's people that are very lethargic, they're really tired, their weight creeps up and it's very difficult for them to lose it.
Cold hands,
cold feet, very susceptible to cold weather, all kinds of hormonal disease.
thinning in the eyebrows.
Yeah, that might work for you.
Got both. I should look into hypothyroidism.
Yeah, what
I can do.
Eat a lot of soy, it might happen.
A lot of Armenians and Iranians, the ones that pluck eyebrows, they should look into hypothyroidism.
What does that have to do with thyroid, dude? All right. So those are the common symptoms that people suffer when they actually have some type of thyroid dysfunction. The problem to that is that oftentimes they're being, and I don't want to say this in the most polite and non-politically way, they're misdiagnosed because there's many other things in the body that can trigger the same kind of reaction. And oftentimes, what it's labeled of hypothyroidism, it is not in the sense that it could be triggered by any other dysfunction in any other organ or gland in the body. Mm-hmm. If the liver is not working properly, like I mentioned before, the 3,4 is not converted into T3. Mm-hmm. And that's, I think, somewhere around the 40-something% of that T4 is converted to T3 at the liver. If that doesn't happen, well, you're going to have symptoms of hypothyroidism. The body could be producing the hormone, but the body is not transferring, one into the other, it's not converting it. The same happens with the liver, the peripheral muscular system, and the heart as well. So we can actually assess a person as being hypothyroidic, and they're really not. They're not looking at the right reason why the person has that lack of conversion.
It comes down to the same conversation. What comes first? Is it a chicken or an egg? And you'll see a lot of practitioners, doctors talk about, is it an adrenal issue first? Is it a thyroid issue first? Is it a gut issue first? And it all depends how you look at the world. And if you look at the world holistically, the way we like to look at things, you can actually have enough of open mind to say, hey, somebody has this kind of issue. Mm-hmm. Where does it start? We really don't know.
Yeah.
But we can start thinking of, okay, it might be this, it might be that. It's not always this particular thing.
Well, in the traditional way of thinking, things can happen in a progressive and linear fashion, mm-hmm. where one realize that everything can be happening all at once. One effect kicks into the next one, and the next one, that's like a cascaded effect. Everything rolls into each other and unfolds.
Absolutely.
And as we know, the axis of the hypothalamus, the pituitary, the thyroid gland, that means that one triggers the other, it creates a chain effect that is mm-hmm. almost instantaneous, and that will therefore show us a manifest in any shape or form. And that's a huge mistake to think that this progression happens from one to the next.
So a lot of times people go and then take, let's say, hormonal. So there's a few things you can do. You can actually go and check how's your thyroid operating. You can go through, let's say, even us. You can go to the doctor. You can go to a naturopathic physician. They might do some like a hormonal panel, and they tell you, okay, you have this much T3, T4 running through your body.
Yep.
What can they do? Is it a valid thing to do?
Well, it is valid in the sense that it depends on the value of that. You know, for example, oftentimes the test can range from being very, very simple to being very, very complex. And I will always suggest people go for the big bang. You know, find out what test will actually grant you more information so you can extrapolate more knowledge out of it and be able how to address it better.
So a more complex test is, chances are, will be a bigger picture it shows.
Yes.
Chances are it's going to be a better
because
test.
it will be a better, you know, like if you're a detective and you're looking into a case to solve a murder, you know, the more clues you have, the more information you have, the better you can assess the situation.
So if you guys are going to go do test something, and if you can afford it, and if your insurance cover it, by no means you would want to go for more of an expanded panel.
Yes, where they look at the liver function, kidney function, heart, gut, you know, function, all that stuff, because in those other organs and glands is actually a lot of the transfers of and conversion of one hormone to the next happens, and that's how the body gets plenty of it.
Exactly. Now, if you don't want to go that way, which you don't necessarily have to,
Yes.
Let's say what we think is the way to go. First, you got to establish a foundation.
Well, you got to establish a foundation. You have to do, you know, you have to have the foundations of health, those principles nice and clear in your mind. And as we all know, and we have reiterated over and over in our episodes, you have to have the right thinking. You have to be positive. You have to avoid stressful situations, people, and places. You have to eat good quality food on a daily basis as often as your body requires to. You gotta drink the right amount of water that writes for you, clean, healthy water, not tea, not coffee, not soda, just water for that matter. And then you have to do some movement. You have to move about, so the body's a system of pumps. It's all muscles, and muscle is nothing but a pump. And those pumps, they have to be moved. If you leave water sitting on a pool for a long period of time, it will create a layer of scum. And that scum manifests itself as all the fungus, all the parasites that we build in our body that we have to get rid of. The best way to do it is to activate those pumps, muscles, and drink plenty of water to flush it out.
So regardless of any way you look at it, if you want to go to a doctor for the issue that you have, you want to go to any other person, unless you have a foundation, doesn't matter how expensive a drugs you're going to take, doesn't expensive how expensive a panels you're going to take, whatever you're going to find out is going to come down again to the same simple things.
And one more thing that I want to add before we conclude this episode: read on your part. Read as much as you can. There's a lot of good doctors and a lot of people that have created really good books. Broda Barnes, Brodabarnes, has a book about the thyroid. It's very important that you read, because the more knowledge that you have, you go with a better arsenal, with better questions to your doctors. So, you know, doctors, they don't know everything. We know what's happening with insurance, you know, companies, that doctors have to make their visits shorter and shorter, and they get a lot of information from the pharmaceutical reps, and the pharmaceutical reps didn't only,
Interested in selling pharmaceutical drugs.
Exactly. So we don't want you to get caught in the crossfire between, you know, those two entities, the medical system and the insurance companies. So what you have to do is that you have to go better prepared to your doctor, to ask him the right questions, to really approach him with the right issues, and see if between the two of you, you can actually, you know, bypass all the BS around and make yourself healthy better.
Absolutely.
All right.
Anything else you want to say?
That's it.
All right, guys. Your future looks better already if you follow the steps. Until the next time, thank you very much for watching.
Thank you.